welcome to Bridge to Wellness. My name is Bridget Guila, your host. Today I have a very special guest, and his name is Edward Carrion, a psychic and a medium. And I'd like to welcome.
Hi, good afternoon.
Thank you for coming on my show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, there's a lot that I'd like to talk about, and without getting too stumbled, let's start off with your story and how you started.
I started real little. At about age 4 to 5, I realized that I was seeing things that other people were not seeing. I recognized that I was hearing things other people were not hearing. And for 4 or 5 years old, and parents that would never talk about it, even though my mother had the gift, was really, really scary. I had my first panic attack when I was 4 years old, and I hid in the closet, just buried myself among the dirty clothes, I think, and they searched for me for hours and hours and hours. It was about 36 hours later that I came out of the closet because I was hungry.
Why 36 hours?
I have no idea. I got hungry.
Did you fall asleep?
I fell asleep. So I slept most of the time, and I think I slept for a very long time.
And what did that mean? You had a panic attack.
A panic attack. I've discovered that I'm prone to anxiety and panic attacks early in my life, when I was in my 20s. And it's something that I've had to learn how to control and to recognize what is real and what isn't real. And that's kind of interesting when you have a psychic, because I have to believe in things that other people do not believe are real. But yet, I believe that they're real. I believe in spirits. I believe in spirit guides. I believe in angels. I believe in others, which are all the individuals that we've ever loved in our lives.
And that's because you've experienced it.
Because I've experienced something special, and that something special has been able to talk to people about their lives and fill them with things, with examples of their lives or of their people's lives that have crossed over that I could not have possibly known or guessed. I had a reading just last week in which, unfortunately, a person was murdered. But there was no information at the time of what happened or how it happened. And I came up with the fact that somebody came up from behind him, hit him. There was a sudden impact to the back of the head, and he fell down. Well, the truth of the matter is he was shot in the back of the head. And I didn't find that out until the autopsy was done several days later. So those are the obscure peripheral details that people use in order to see that I am making, or I am telling the truth about their lives.
Can you explain that to me, the obscure peripheral?
Obscure peripheral details. Examples that I could have not possibly known or guessed would have been a person's initials, age at the time of passing, how they passed over, because I'm clairsenses, which is clear and far sensing. So if somebody had a heart attack, I will actually feel symptoms of a heart attack.
Clear sensing? Is that what it's called?
Clairsenses.
Clairsenses. I've never heard of that.
There's also clairaudient, which is clear and far hearing.
Yeah.
And clairvoyance, which is clear and far seeing.
And then senses.
And then sensing. It's the ability to feel energies from the other side that affects the body. So, example, there was a time in my life at about 14 years ago, 16 years ago, that I began having heart attack symptoms, real heart attack symptoms, including shortness of breath, fatigue, inability to walk a certain distance, etc. my heart checked out fine. It was only later that I realized that I did not dump the information or did not dump the energy afterwards that someone had given me of the heart attack. And of the heart attack and of I took all this energy in, did not dump it, did not let it go. So one of the things that I have to do before and after a reading is accept the information as it comes, and then let go of all the energies that information entails.
I see.
Otherwise, I become like an hard drive that you're almost use the entire disk, and the hard drive is cluggy or sluggish, slow, and it's trying to get to the information, but it has to go through a lot of garbage. Well, that's what happens to a psychic that doesn't dump the energies.
And what about calling in for guides or any type of guidance in the beginning and the end?
At the beginning of the reading, I offer my soul up to the highest possible vibration, so that I can hear and sense the other side. After the reading, I take back that energy, I take back my soul, put it back into my body, clean it up, put it back into my body, lock it in place, and then give away the energies that I've taken from the other ones. And that is all of the energies that I've gotten from them, all the energies that they've given to me, and all of the unanswered questions are given back to my higher power's love and light. And everybody has a higher power, even if they say there's an atheist. I have a wonderful story about an atheist. And that is, I was doing a reading for a lady, and I said, I have your father here. And she said, you can't. And I said, why not? Because my father was an atheist. And I looked at her and said, well, your father is saying that there are no atheists in foxholes. At which point she went, huh? At which point the man said, let me explain. When I died, I went out of body, and I was floating above everybody. And I could see everybody scrambling around to get my body to beat their heart again. And all I said was, oh my God. And the next thing I know, I'm standing in front of St. Peter on the other side going, you're in. So it just takes one moment of believing in God, or believing in there's something else out there other than nothingness. There's some power that controls the order of the universe. Although it's ever expanding, there is some power that, like the atomic clock, tells us time to the second. Well, that higher power holds that time together to the second. Do you get it?
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah.
And so I believe in the higher power. And I believe everybody has their own higher power, whatever they want to call it, even if they don't call it God. Because everybody, even an atheist, believes there's something else out there that is controlling or controls the universe. There's some power.
That's wonderful to hear. It's a really good message. Going back to the
Clairsenses.
Yes. So what is your strongest gift?
Strongest gift is probably clairvoyance.
Okay, and this clairsensing.
Clairsenses is a secondary gift. It's really
One more
hard.
time.
It's
Clairsenses.
clairsenses.
Okay.
It's actually clairsenses. You would, if you separated the two words.
Okay. So now clairvoyance.
Clairvoyancy is clear and far seeing. And that for me is seeing images in my mind's eye, which when I close my eyes, I can see images that are presented forth. It's also a red bar. And if you're familiar with the Kmart, the blue light specials, the red bar, I often get words that often will come across my head or the forehead in red bar, and I'll read it. Or they will actually print it out and then splash it out in front of my eyes, particular words or images that I can see.
And is it very clear? Does it feel like we had mentioned, like an AM radio where there's things here and there, it's popping up, different stations, or is it just come before you very clear?
When I first started doing this full time 19 years ago now, it was spotty. It was very spotty. Now that I've done it for 18 years, it's as clear as a nose on my face. And that's only because of experience. I've learned how to pick and choose what comes forth. Now, I see everything, but I have the option of picking and choosing how I see it. And the other thing is I trust my gut to say what I hear, what I see, what I feel. And by trusting my gut to hear what I say, what I hear, what I feel, it comes out in truth for the individual.
So it's your wisdom that allows you to see the difference.
It's experience. If experience is wisdom, then I'll take it.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So when you're working with clients and you're sitting down with them, how does a session start?
The session starts off with me asking them to give permission to their spirit guides, their angels, and others. Permission to speak freely to me, Edward, with the final outcome for the highest and greatest possible good. That's how it begins. And it begins with them giving permission. Because without permission, I can't read. Nor do I read for people that have not given me specific permission to read or to see for them.
Okay. Is it it's something that you don't allow, or is there a blockage somewhere?
I'm getting the image of an automatic switch. And that is, you give permission, it's on. Now, when I speak to people, and we're talking about me being a psychic, if I just happen to explain to somebody I'm a psychic, this has happened a lot recently when I met new people at conventions. And they ask what I do for a living. And I'm saying, well, I'm a psychic medium. Immediately, about half of the people ask, what is that? The other half of the people go, oh, really? So they don't give me permission. Sometimes they give permission for me to read unconsciously. Other times they don't. But I always ask if it's okay to see or to say what I sense or feel around them. Because nobody likes surprises. And it's a big surprise if somebody comes up as an attack psychic and say, I got your mother here, and she says, you haven't changed your underwear in 3 days. Why?
That would be an attack for sure.
That would
You've
be an
got to turn
attack.
it inside out. This is the going on the fourth day.
So I have no idea where that came from.
Has nothing to do with me.
Nothing to do with you.
Promise.
I promise, nothing to do with me either, so we're cool.
Oh, that's great. So the rest. So you have the beginning and end covered.
In the middle, it is, oh Lord, in the middle it is as I hear it. And very often I will start off with a dialogue. And that is, in the last 6 months, these things have happened to you. You have been in and out of depression, mostly in. You have seeking help, but you don't really want to seek the help because you think that it will get better just by itself, and it won't. Different things along those lines.
And then the rest of the time you use your intuition. You just flow.
It just flows. I can't really explain how it just comes, is what happens. And it comes for a period of time, mostly the period of time that the client has agreed to pay for. Sometimes there's more information, and so we have to go over, which is fine with me. But it's just there.
Yeah. I've seen the way you work. I've watched a YouTube, and I thought that was remarkable. And then I've seen you talk to my manager and upstairs, and it just flowed naturally.
People ask me how I do what I do. And I have to honestly say, I don't know. I have to honestly say, I get it, but I don't know how I get it.
Yeah.
Which is not good enough for some people. But
That's why I have you on the show. Because you speak the truth. And when I spoke to you, you dropped some things were just so truthful. And reading your website, I loved your honesty on your website. Tell me your website. Tell our viewers your website, because I want people to
it's
see it
real
as well.
simple. It's simply psychicedward.com.
Okay.
So I'm a psychic. My name is Edward. Psychicedward.com. If you Google Psychic Edward, you will get John Edward's website. And about 3 links down, you will get my website,
Okay. It's pretty high up there.
which is psychicedward.com.
Okay. So on your website, I noticed that you talk about the chakras.
I do.
I clicked on one of the contents. Was that a long time ago?
Oh, God. Yes. I put together that website 12 years ago. And except for the first 2 pages, I have not really, for the first 2 pages and Psychic Consumer 101, I have not touched that website in 12 to 14 years. So did I put up the what is the chakra and
Yes.
Yes,
I thought,
you did.
I thought, I saw that and I thought, oh, okay, he knows about the chakras and meditation. And
yes, I have put those things up there because I really believe in the education of the client. I really believe that an educated client is one that will get what they need out of the reading in the less amount of time. And I don't believe in milking a reading. And sometimes people will say, well, I'll take an hour reading. I said, okay, but if it lasts only 45 minutes, that's what you're going to pay for. And a lot of times it will only last 45 minutes. And then the information is done. So chakras are energy points. And they're energy points in which energy flows into and flows out of. There are 7 chakras plus 1 sub-chakra that I use all the time. The 7 main chakras are our root, which is the tip of the butt bone, or the sacrals, the sacrum. Then you have the sacra, which is above the genitalia. The solar plex, which is just below the sternum. The heart, which is the middle of the chest, smack in the middle. The throat, which is the throat area. The third eye, which is the middle of the third eye, and then crown. And before I do a reading, I make sure that I open every of those chakras, including the foot chakra, in which all the information from the earth, the diva energy from the earth, flows from. And I pick up white, gold, green, and blue light for purification, education, power, and love. And I pick up these lights in order to use, or the energy of the lights, in order to vibrate my soul to the highest possible vibration. The energy points, chakras, have a opening and a closing. And what a lot of people don't know is that the back is the entrance of the chakras.
The back is
The back, in other words, in the back is the entrance. And in the front is the exits. And when people have gone to psychics for a long time in order to balance their chakras. You balance your chakras by meditation. And I balance my chakras by asking them to automatically open and close as needed, so that I'm never overwhelmed by the information or the energies. There are psychics that advertise chakra balancing, but I teach people how to balance their own chakras because it's a personal exercise that I don't think a psychic should touch, because I'm touching their energies, which is fine. But if somebody is taught to do it, then it's like giving a person a fish for a day. Well, that's fine, that will feed them now. But you teach them how to do something, then they're able to do it for themselves. And then they almost always teach others.
That's what I like about you as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
I believe in teaching others. I believe in empowering, paying it forward is another word.
You have so much integrity in the way you work, and trust.
It is trust. I have listened to my clients for years telling me the horror stories of psychics that are not real. Psychics that rip them off for thousands of dollars. And my heart sinks every single time. This is why I put up something called Psychic Consumer 101 on my website. It's a detailed manuscript of what is a psychic, what is not a psychic, how to tell a psychic is ripping you off, and how to tell a psychic is real.
And how can you tell if a psychic is ripping you off?
A psychic that rips you off will never give you the right information, almost always.
And how can you tell?
Because they're not giving you obscure peripheral facts that they could have not possibly known or guessed. A psychic who's trying to rip you off will use fear and intimidation to solicit an ongoing financial relationship with you.
Yeah.
So a psychic, if anybody ever tells you, for $34, I will light a candle for you, and the candle is going to do this, run.
Yeah.
Please get up and run. Look at the psychic and tell them to their face, you're not a real. There is candle magic. But if a psychic also tells you you have a curse, and for $300 I can lift this curse for you, run. If a psychic tells you you have bad energy, run. If a psychic says you're going to die in 3 months unless we clear your energies,
Run.
run. And don't be afraid to.
To run.
Don't be afraid to get up and go, you're full of baloney, which is probably the most meekest thing you can sell. I think when somebody actually will get up, it will actually be much stronger than baloney.
You're full of bleep bleep.
Yes.
Okay, so that's good. I'm glad we clarified that one. It's so
Really? Fantastic.
yes. So that's really important for people to know, because there are a lot of people who are interested in and so eager to. Okay, this is when I noticed quite a bit. People want to know their future really bad, especially if they're experiencing anxiety and they're not happy with what's going on right now. They just want to know if the right person's going to come into their life, or they want to know if they're going to be famous one day or highly successful.
You know, a psychic can't tell them that. But what they can do, which is loving them, loving is gently bringing them back to their center so that they can clearly see where they're at, how they got there, and where to go next. A psychic should be sort of a signpost advisor. This direction leads this way. This direction goes to Mecca.
Yeah.
This direction goes to London. This direction goes to Miami, which is really nice this part of the year, this time of year. But each direction that he can help point you have lessons with them. And they have lessons which is living life. So I can't tell somebody, well, I can tell somebody, as I've recently done, yes, in about 24 months, someone's going to come into your life. But in the meanwhile, you have to open the door to them.
Right.
Which is meaning...
Could you hold that thought?
Yes.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back after these messages.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm really interested in talking about, this is the fun stuff, is the medium work, the psychic medium. Would you combine those two, psychic medium or just medium?
A psychic reads energy from this side of the veil. and they use tools.
What do you mean by this side of the veil?
This side of the veil of Earth.
Okay.
Everything vibrates at about 68 kilohertz on Earth. There's a basic vibration of everything on Earth. When a psychic will be able to basically tune into the energy around the person and read from that point. But the goal for a psychic is to love them. And loving your client is gently bringing them back to their center so that they can clearly see where they're at, how they got there, and where they need to go by their own free will choice. And we are put here on Earth to exercise free will choice. But we have a game plan that maps out all of our free will choices. And I mean all of them. I probably have enough free will choices in my chart for this lifetime to last for 10 lifetimes and still not run out of choices. So this is something I'm passionate about. I think I'm raising my voice, and I do apologize. I'm not yelling.
No, you're passionate. Yeah.
But I really am passionate about people not ripping off people or using people. And this is the reason why I wrote Psychic Consumer 101. So that people would get it and would make conscious consumer choices.
Okay. Okay, so now going back to the medium
A medium gets information from the other side. So I read or listen to your spirit guides, which are contracted individuals that helped write your project plan, keeps you on your project plan, and assists you along the way.
Are they like angels?
They're not angels. They are people, they are spirits that have lived life at least once, and knows life, and they're there as spirit guides. That is their job, is a guide for our spiritual path. And that's their job, quote unquote. Angels are assigned to us the very moment we're created as a spirit, eons ago. Eons and eons ago, we're created as spirits. At that time, we were assigned angels, which are God's insurance policy that we will not get run over by a bus before it's time to. So I call them the laws of CYB, covering your butt.
Oh, so that would be an angel.
That would be an angel.
And,
others are those that we would have loved in this lifetime, a past lifetime, or well on the other side, that we've given them a piece of our soul, and they've given us a piece of their soul.
The others, the spirit guides?
No, it's like your grandmother, your aunt, your uncle, all those, a friend that have crossed over, anybody who's on the other side now who has in the past or the current lifetime exchanged a piece of their soul with you and their soul with them. I listen to them, and a lot of times I can actually see them. I'm able to describe to people what their loved one looked like. And that's because sometimes I actually can see their facial features, how they looked at the time of the passing. But most of the time, they vacillate back and forth. I will actually see them how they looked like at the time of their passing. And then the next image will be them at about 27, 29 years old, which is the preferred age of being looked at on the other side.
Really?
Yes.
Yes. How do we know that?
I know that because I've experienced it.
Okay.
You know, all of a sudden I would describe them at age 28, 29, and they said, well, that's exactly the way Mother looked. I'm going, cool, because that's what she's looking like now. But yet I can also tell you a lot of times the obscure peripheral details of what they looked like when they passed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. So can you see angels?
I can see angels in one's life.
I'm so envious.
I see them, how they work around you. Now, I have a past lives in this life as a law enforcement officer and a social worker. And I used a lot of my angels' time, particularly as a law enforcement officer working in a rough neighborhood. I'm laughing now because I have no idea how many times they have actually covered my rear end.
In LA?
In Los Angeles.
Yes.
I have no idea how many times they've done that.
Yeah. Countless,
And
I'm sure.
oh, more than just a couple.
Countless. Right.
It's the best way to describe a reading, and recently, I'll give you recent examples, is I started off by talking to this individual about what was happening at work. And I simply explained, okay, fine, your boss is 100% behind you for a promotion and a raise. However, two things are going to happen because your company is downsizing expenses. Either they're going to give you the groups that you're going to want and manage between 40 and 50 people and only get a 2% raise, or you're going to get the groups you want and a directorship with a 20% raise. And he looked at me and said, how do you know that? I'm going, how do I know anything? I just do. Well, that was exactly the situation he was in. And the time period of looking at him for a promotion started now and will end in the second or third week in April. How did I know that? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I just trusted when I opened my mouth that it would be true. And there are times when I will actually think one thing and say another, and the other was the correct way of saying it. So they changed my words in flight, one might say.
You know, I had an experience with you. You had mentioned about my grandmother.
Yes.
And then you mentioned about cookies or biscuits. You had mentioned, you said there was cookies or biscuits. And you mentioned tea. And then you mentioned, I believe, England. And I thought, I have to think about that because my family's from my grandmother was very close to, was from the Philippines. And she loved coffee. And so there was a few things. As soon as I left here, I went to a vegan Chinese restaurant. The moment I walked in, there was these vegan cookies. And I rarely see cookies sold at Chinese restaurants unless they're fortune cookies. So I thought, these look interesting. I picked them up and I thought, oh, I'll buy these. So I stood there for a minute because I was ordering something to go. And then I thought, I'm going to relax and just have a seat and eat here. So I put the cookies down on the table. And then I said, may I have some tea, please? And they brought tea over. And here's the cup. And then here's the cookies. And So there's the cup, and I thought, no, really? I rarely ever ordered cookies again in a Chinese restaurant. I thought, I have to take a picture of this. And I talked to you about it, so I thought, where's the England part, though? And then what occurred to me was, that really tugged on my heart so deeply. My grandmother loved to travel. She bought in England a whole set of chinaware from England. I had that set, and I cherished it so much. And it really broke my heart. One day I had to let it go.
Okay.
It was in a relationship, and I had to let that go. So it hurt me for a long time, because I had an attachment, because I felt like it was the last part of my grandmother, is the chinaware. So from England, that was so dear to me. And
when I tell people something, sometimes it doesn't have meaning then. But people have psychic amnesia that it makes sense later.
would that be me?
That would be you. Where you made sense of it later, but you didn't make sense of it when we first told you it. That's perfectly okay. Because it's them, your grandmother, working your life to give you a gift. And that gift is remembering. And that gift was that quiet time so that you could take care of where you're at that moment.
Yeah.
So you were given a gift.
That's nice. I love that. I also saw that you saw both past and present.
I see future and past.
Yes.
However, going back to these clients that I've just talked about, I have this ability to project out what's going to happen in the future. And the wife of the gentleman, last time I spoke to them, or 2 times ago I spoke to them, was without a job. And I simply said, between the 4th and 6th months, you're going to interview for a job, but you won't get the job until the 6th month. And it will happen between these dates. Please be patient, because the right job for you is coming, but you're going to get absolutely nothing till then. And then all of a sudden, you will get this one job that will be just perfect. Lo and behold, that came true. How did I know about that? I have no idea. But if I hear it, I will say it. People ask for their future, but their future is really for them to choose. There are times when I'm actually allowed to see what their choices are. I have an example of a young man who had an appointment to the Air Force Academy. The Friday before he was supposed to leave, he went out to party, and he had a couple of marijuana cigarettes, and he had a couple of beers. He got into a traffic accident that night, in which did not leave anybody too injured, but did injure the person that he was driving with. Lo and behold, there went his energy, there went his appointment to the Air Force Academy. Now, this person really, really wanted to fly. That was his passion, was to fly. His own choices destroyed his chance of going to the Air Force Academy. He was disastered and just absolutely beside himself for months. until he was told by his mother after a meeting by me, is to get his freaking act together and realize that he can still accomplish what he wants to accomplish, but he had to do it.
Yeah.
The golden thing about his conviction was that it was in juvenile court. So his conviction can actually be expunged.
What do you mean? Like a diversion?
Like a diversion. It could be wiped out.
Okay.
So that in adult life, nobody would see the DUI. He went to college, aviation college, went to Cal State San Jose for the aviation college. His grandparents paid for his flight lessons and schools. And now he is flying for the regional airlines. And very, very soon we'll be flying the big jets.
Oh, good. As a pilot, of course.
As a pilot.
Yeah.
Now, what happened there? One dream was destroyed because of choices. He had to make other choices, but never let go of what he wanted to be. And so one may have been destroyed, but he opened up another path.
Yeah.
That is our ability to recover from whatever is negative, as long as we take responsibility for our choices.
Yeah, precisely. Whenever there's a blockage or something that stop us in a track, it doesn't mean that we need to stop. It means that we need to divert, right?
It means that we need to see what this means. And
I like the idea of decoding everything. It makes everything so fun and mysterious.
I don't know if I decode for people, but I definitely allow them to see themselves in a different light.
Like treasures and silver lining. Is it something different than that?
Life is hard, but it's not so hard that we can't enjoy every moment of it. Life is hard for a reason, and that is so that we can appreciate what we earned, what we have, and what we could give to others. That's about all I can say.
Yeah. No, it's just as simple as that.
It is simple.
It's
not, life is not complex. I have a book that I'm working on. The title of the book is Innate Rocket Science. What the other side have told me, I've told Edward about living life.
Can you give us a little teaser on that?
Oh, I think I've given you a lot of teasers because I've basically told you during this time how loving someone, loving them to go back to their center helps them see where they're at. That's one. The other thing that they talked about was anger, and how anger is an energy that we create. We send out anger to other people, but they never, ever really receive that energy because either they don't care or they don't want to see it. What that energy does is bypass them, comes back and hit us twice as hard. What do we do with that energy? We send it out again. It bypasses them, comes back right to us twice as hard. When you're angry with someone, it is better to forgive them and send positive energy their way. And then avoid them like the plague.
Healthy boundaries.
And you've done exactly, you've expressed exactly what I would like to say, which is you do boundaries.
Yeah.
And you don't let that person hurt you again.
I like the saying, to turn bullets into lotus flowers.
Yep,
And just walk away.
just walk away. However, it's really hard to dodge bullets, okay?
Yeah. So
Really,
that's
really hard.
really, really hard. I get that. So that's where the healthy boundaries comes in. I call them happy boundaries.
They're happy or healthy boundaries, but people don't find them right away. Example of a person that doesn't find them right away is someone in an abusive relationship. They can only see the false love of the person. They can't see exactly what it's doing to them. And so that person has to learn boundaries and how to say no.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. Because there's a lot of viewers right now who are needing that little tip right there. How to get unstuck in that situation?
How does anybody get unstuck and they just do something different?
Right. And it's just a matter of their time.
Oh God. We get stuck when we do the same behavior over and over again and expect different results.
That's a very powerful one, and it's so true.
We change when we take control of the results and says, no, this isn't going to work. And change it so that we are in control.
And commit to it.
Commit to it, love it, understand it.
Be intentional.
Just do it. To borrow a phrase.
Right. Thanks, Nike.
Yeah, thanks to Nike.
Yeah. But that's all good. So do you do seances?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And are those fun? I feel like it seemed like it would be more fun than anything.
They're a blast. I do seances for groups. And I've done seances for family groups. I have a seance that I'm going to be doing, believe it or not, over FaceTime for a group of people that are far away. And so they're going away to a girls-only retreat, rented a house, and so they're going to set up Facebook on their laptop, and I'm going to be sitting at my location, basically doing Facebook also. So they'll be able to see me, and I'll be able to see them. And that's happening at the end of the month. So we're going to see how that turns out.
Okay, that's
But yes,
great.
I do seances.
That's good to know that you can do remotely.
I can do remotely. All I need is their permission. And as one proprietor of a psychic institute says, you can teach anybody to be a psychic. The other side is so willing to talk. The problem is, it's not that easy to teach somebody to listen.
Yes.
And to trust what they're listening. And not to edit the other side.
Is that possible?
Yeah, I've learned just, if I see it, just say it, because it is probably have the right thing.
Yes, yeah. Editing meaning making up stories or fillers or...
Editing is second guessing the information. If I second guess the information, it's going to come out wrong. I do it all the way, all the time. And like I say, I'll tell somebody, I really think it's this, but I'm seeing this too. And the first thing that I really think it is
Yeah.
probably it.
Yes. There goes your honesty again.
You have to. And
Yeah.
I don't see it as something that I have to do. I think something that it just is.
I think a lot of people would greatly benefit you in their lives.
I'm thankful for every client that I've had, and I've had thousands.
Well, you know, just because I don't feel that you're attached, you would be attached to any of your clients. You would be there for them, and they would be free to go and come back whenever they would like.
And I also tell my clients that I'm not a counselor, that I'm simply an advisor. And an advisor doesn't tell you what to do, but they certainly can point you in a direction that you can figure out what to do and do it right.
Right, right. So very powerful. I find that you're, although very, very humble, and I appreciate that, your gift is very powerful, and it's something that a lot of people are very intrigued and interested in. And I think that I would love to experience some of the, would you call it ritualistic seances? Is it like
How
what you
much
see
of
on
a-
TV?
You know, it's really funny. When I was doing psychic fairs several years ago, the promoter would have me put on a seance for people, and I would split the income with them. And I simply had anywhere from 8 to 12 people in the tent. We had a small tent that was being put up within the venue. And the 8 to 12 people, and I would just go from person to person to person, explaining what I'm seeing and how I'm seeing it. And I'm not sure if it's a ritual, but I just started with one person and then goes to the next. And I listen and I say and I talk, but everybody gets visited by the other side. And it is what I'm asked them to do for me. And that is, if everyone is here, please visit them. And they do.
Okay. And it works every time?
It works the majority of the time. I don't think I've never had it not work, thank God.
Oh, that's so exciting.
But it works the majority of the
I have a
time.
lot of group of friends who would love to see you, who
I
would
would
love
love-
to visit with you.
I would love to visit with them.
Yeah, let's do a party.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, Edward, it was so wonderful to see you. So wonderful. Thank you so much.
And
Thank
it was
you.
wonderful talking. Thank you for
Yeah.
bringing out all the things that you brought out.
Yes, of course. That is what I'm here for. Yeah. Thank you.